we're now going to sew the felt onto the back of our piece. Now, some people glue the felt onto the back, which you can do. I don't like to use glue and fabric in something that you want to keep a long time, because you do risk nasty things happening, or the glue starting to show through or come off, and it also means you can't undo it if you want to. This is all sewn in. If you wanted to change something, you could literally just cut all of this thread, take the piece out of the hoop and start again, wash it if it got dirty in an accident or something. It just gives you other options and feels like a better way of doing it to me. So I've cut a piece of my ordinary sewing cotton and thread it through my ordinary sewing needle with a smaller eye. You can, if you want to do a thicker edging, you can use a couple of strands of the DMC thread. You can use the entire 6 strands of the DMC thread, as we did here, and do a really nice thick edging that way if you prefer. It's entirely up to you how many strands you want to stitch with. We're not making this really taut, so you don't need the thicker amount of thread as we did earlier in the lacing. And I'm using red thread here so that it shows up and you can actually see what I'm doing, but otherwise you might want to use a thread that blends in with your felt. So I'm just going to start my stitch off here, just near the edge of our piece. Just going to secure the thread by doing a loop here and making sure my end here comes under the loop, and make another knot here to make sure it's secure. Come in through this loop, and that's nice and secure. So now I'm going to take the felt and we're just going to sew it on. So if you put your needle in through about here, so you can just do stitches round like this, or you can do a blanket stitch, push it in here, which just makes it look that much nicer. So I'm going to do the blanket stitch, pull through a stitch, put your needle through the loop and pull up the thread, do another stitch here. In here I'm going through the felt, and then in here, can you see, I'm going through the felt into the aider here, back up through the aider near the edge of the hoop. Okay, so that's securing the felt to the aider that's at the edge there. And to make the blanket stitch, we make sure that the thread goes through the hoop there. And again, I've put the needle through there, put my needle through this loop of thread. That gives this nice ridge of thread along the top like that. And I'm literally just going to neatly go round the edge of the whole piece, and it means you're just covering up all this crazy zigzagging we did with the lacing. It'll all be neatly covered up by the piece of felt. So I will rejoin you when I've done more of that. I've gone almost all the way round the outside with the blanket stitch. I've started a new thread a couple of times, and here I am back at the beginning, just about to do the last stitch and finish off the thread. So just going to do that, then just pull the needle into the aider, just tucked underneath slightly, and under this loop here to form a knot, do another knot, and probably a third knot, because I like to be really extra careful about everything, as you'll have noticed. and get it caught around there. Knot it there, and then to finish it off I can just bring my needle up through around a piece of the felt, bring it up there. I then pull it very taut here and snip the thread, then it will pull back in behind the felt. And that is the end, and our piece of cross stitch is completely finished front and back. You can just display this by propping it on something, or you can tie a ribbon or a loop of thread onto the screw at the top and hang it on the wall that way.